I ran a short video yesterday telling folks that they could come on in here to join us today for Leading from North of Center on the topic of I have made a huge mistake. That was indeed a huge mistake. I'd flipped a couple of topics on there. I need to own that. That's my responsibility. I made the error. I am sincerely sorry for that. It was not a bait and switch. Wouldn't want anybody thinking that. But I did just, I don't know, I picked the wrong topic, provided the wrong promo. And what I need to correct is that we do plan to cover the I've made a huge mistake topic on Friday, the 24th of April. That's what's programmed into our registration site on our website at www.northofcenter.com. But what I've just done is given you a twofer. I covered the 5 basic things that need to happen when you make a huge mistake there. You need to acknowledge it. You need to own it. You need to apologize. You need to correct the record. Then you need to move on. Speaking of moving on, have you ever had somebody come to you and say, this is a horrible story, a bad story, a terrible story, the worst story in the entire universe? Yeah, I've had that happen. There I was, right in the middle of a particular place when my boss said, get over here now, called me in, threw a New York Times op-ed down on the table and said, we need to get on top of this. We need to fix this. This is terrible, horrible, awful, the worst thing that's ever happened to us. We got to get back right away. And I said, well, we can certainly write an op-ed. You're a pretty senior guy. We send that response in the New York Times. They're going to give you the print space. But let's take a breath first. Let's dissect this thing. Let's figure out what was really said. Let's figure out what was going on. Let's figure out how we need to respond and decide if we even do need to respond. So BJ and I are here to talk to you today about a way to dissect a core piece of content, break it down into its elements, into its parts, so that you can really form an informed strategy on how to engage and how to respond. Maybe even decide you just plain won't do it. Over to you, BJ.
Well, welcome. We're Leading from North to Center. I'm BJ Fitzpatrick Jr., and I'm joined by Cliff W. Gilmore. And today we want to help you establish a method by which you can accurately assess media content. We'll talk about the topic for about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll open the floor to questions. And we'll stick around as long as anyone needs us. You'll find the Q&A button, as usual, near the bottom center of your screen.
Now, accuracy is one of the guiding principles of communication-based leadership. We prefer accuracy even to truth. Truth tends to be, I don't know, relative. You know, you'll find absolute truth from time to time, but it does tend to be rare. Truth tends to be subjective. Truth tends to be based on opinion and perspective, and it's very tailored, it's very individual, and it will change over time very often. Accuracy, though, that's a good starting place. If you have something that's accurate, you can take a look at it and say, all right, great. We've got people in the room who might think of it in different ways, but at least we're talking about the same fact. All right. So we're going to walk you through a technique that you can use to analyze media content. That is to break it down into its core elements. And this is a hip pocket technique. This is something that you or I or anybody can do just very quickly, quite literally, by printing the darn thing out and grabbing 4 colored highlighters, so that you don't have to have a big old software package backing you up to do content analysis. You don't need to dig into sentiment analysis. You can. Those are powerful, useful things. But when you're working in the now, what you need to do is get oriented quickly and decide if what you're dealing with is really as bad as you think it is, or as bad as your reflex might tell you it is. So we're going to walk you through those steps.
First, we're going to start by defining media content. And this can include basically transcripts, articles, audio, and video. To do this correctly, you're going to need a true record of what was actually said. That's why we want you to get the actual copies of what you're talking about, so that you can determine what the tenor was of the story and what was actually written or said in that story.
That's key. I personally really like to go to source material, and I came up with this method because I had to, and because even today I find myself reacting to media coverage or different articles in ways that may not actually be justified. I need to stop myself, walk myself through a basic process, and ask myself, hey, what am I really looking at here? I like transcripts. You can go right to transcripts. You see a story, a news story maybe about something somebody said. If you can find that transcript, go to what the person actually said or the live video. You can check it there and find out what's going on. But even a news story can be dissected using this technique that we're going to share with you here. And there's basically 4 elements that you can look for. So I recommend that when you have this piece of content that has your attention, start off by reading or listening to it all the way through one time. Just make sure you understand it. You've got a basic reading of it. Then grab 4 different colored highlighter markers. And then you're going to read this darn thing 4 more times. And you're going to be looking for and color coding a different element each time. The elements are your facts and your errors in fact, and your favorable and unfavorable commentary.
Hey, Cliff, I'm going to ask you a question here because I see where you could, not you, but a person could make a mistake and go through it with all 4 pens in hand and do all those things at the same time, a little cheat code there. But sometimes you can get confused and start thinking about one thing and forget about one of the 4 where I would suspect if you do one of them, then you're concentrating on one thing, get that done, then move back up to the next one.
That's right on, BJ. And I make that mistake quite often too. I need to stop myself and remind myself that this is it's a 5 reading activity. You got to read it once to make sure you just have a general sense of what you're looking at. But read it without reaching any judgments or shooting through the roof or anything like that. Once you've read it once, you grab those pens and you start with, what color am I going to color code? The facts. And you read through it and you find the facts and you highlight those facts before you go on. And then you cycle through and you do it again 3 more times.
So let's break it down. First, what's a fact? A fact is verifiable from a credible source. For example, if a working thermometer tells you it's 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside, it's freezing. That is a fact. Now let's talk about when a reporter quotes someone. If they quoted the person accurately, it's a fact. But the quote may include both errors in fact and commentary within it. For example, let's say it's 5 degrees again outside Fahrenheit, and someone is accurately quoted as saying 5 degrees Fahrenheit isn't freezing. That is inaccurate information within the accurate quote. So you don't go gunning for the reporter because they actually did the accurate thing. They've properly quoted that person.
That's right on. And I see this one quite often. You get into reading that article and you start reacting emotionally first. You're like, that's wrong. That's bogus. That's crap. This journalist sucks. Like, oh, hold on. You got to stop, go back through, be looking for the facts. And particularly when you look for a quote, when you're looking at a quote, you can take a look and say, hey, is this quote accurate? Can I go back and find where this person actually said this thing? And, in general, it's worthwhile to give the benefit of the doubt to the reporter. And if they slap something in quotes, start from, let's take them at their word that they quoted this person accurately. Now let's dissect the quote. You may find an accurate piece or an inaccurate piece within that quote, and you'll also probably find commentary. A reporter isn't generally going to quote somebody who isn't adding some sort of fluff and flavor and perspective to something. But it is important to keep in mind that you're looking for the errors or the facts in this particular case when you first go on through, even when you're looking at a quote. If the quote is quoted accurately, it's an accurate thing. You can then go back through and dissect the quote itself in a little more detail, which takes us to the errors in fact. An error in fact is something that is verifiably inaccurate. Now, accuracy, like I said, is one of the key guiding principles of communication-based leadership. You want to make sure the thing you're talking about is accurate and that you're saying accurate things or describing actions accurately. You also need to be able to nail down where's something an error in fact. The temptation may be to look at a fact and go, oh, that's bogus because it's a fact that works against you. But if it's accurate and it works against you, it's still a fact. So you need to have that nailed down. But you can also then find those errors in fact, something that's verifiably inaccurate. So we're not talking about an opinion here. We're talking about something that's flat out incorrect. So BJ, who invaded Spain in the 8th century?
That's easy. It was the Moops.
Error. In fact, it was the Moors. However, and this may bake your noodle just a little bit, it is a fact that in Seinfeld season 4, episode 7, George Costanza said, quote, oh no, I'm so sorry. It's the Moops. The correct answer is the Moops, end quote.
Favorable commentary tends to be an expression of opinion. It can be based on facts or feelings, but refers to comments that are favorable relative to you or your organization. Keep in mind, this can cut both ways still. If the favorable commentary is based on incorrect information or comes from a dubious ally, it can still work against you.
Indeed. If, for example, as a teenager, your mom told all of your friends that you are just the coolest dude in the world, that's favorable commentary, but it probably works against you. What we've done here is we've broken into a second category here within our 4 parts. We have facts and errors and facts. That's hard stuff, verifiable one way or the other. Now, when we get into the commentary, what we're looking at is, as BJ mentioned, we're looking at comments, opinions, perception that is favorable or unfavorable to you as a leader or to your organization. Okay, so we have the favorable commentary, and that's where somebody's talking you up. They're saying this is good. We agree. We share this perspective. And you look, like, hey, that really helps quite a lot. But you could also have the unfavorable commentary. So let's go back to the example of temperature. Let's say it's a verifiable fact that it's 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and you're trying to get people to either stay inside for their own safety or wear appropriate protective gear if they go outside. And you find an accurate quote from somebody that says, 5 degrees isn't really that cold. You don't need gloves or coat or pants. That is unfavorable commentary. Now, it is an opinion that works against you and your goal.
So by the time you've used all 4 of your colored markers, you've read the thing 5 times at least. You should be looking at a piece of content that's been colored from start to finish. So now what? Well, now you can look at it and decide what needs to be done about it. When I say it, what needs to be done about your different colors, if anything? Was it pretty much accurate? If so, you can deal with that, even if the facts work against you, by acknowledging them and talking about why they matter or what you plan to do about them.
You can also single out specific errors in fact and decide what to do about those. Are they egregious? Or maybe they warrant a phone call or a public statement to correct the record. Or maybe they're relatively minor errors that amount to basically just a typo, and you can look at them and just let them go.
And you can identify who is saying favorable things about you or unfavorable things and come up with engagement strategies to deal with it or them.
Which brings us to a closing thought, which is the idea of balance in a piece of content. Now, people commonly define a news story or a speech as either good or bad, and if it includes a bunch of unfavorable commentary, the reflex is to think that it's bad. But here's what you can look for. First, if your context is in the story, then you've achieved balance. You don't need a 1-to-1 ratio of favorable to unfavorable commentary. You need the favorable commentary to be credible and accurate. You need your perspective to be in this piece of content. Second, if it's unfavorable context, is it new or is it unusual? If it's the same old people saying the same old things that they've said in the past, you can relax just a bit. What you need to look out for, though, is when you have a new antagonist or a previous ally who is taking a new and unfavorable position on the issue that you're dealing with. That's when you really need to pay attention. So if that's the case, you can focus on who said what and decide what needs to be done about it.
So here we are at our 15-minute mark just about, and today we've given you a way to break down media content into 4 key parts: facts, errors in fact, favorable commentary, and unfavorable commentary. By taking a breath, investing time to break media content down into these 4 elements, you can make an informed decision about how to respond and what your engagement strategy should be.
And that's a wrap for today. As always, we want to thank you for investing your time with us here at North of Center. If you've enjoyed this discussion, you found this information valuable, please keep tuning in. Please spread the word about the Leading from North of Center webinars that go every Wednesday and Friday at noon Pacific. We also then take these videos, put them up on our website and our YouTube channel, northofcenter.com, North of Center. That's where you can find us pretty much anywhere that we exist. So keep tuning in. We will go live at noon Pacific every Wednesday and Friday for the foreseeable future. If you're not able to make that time, look us up, watch the videos on your own time.
And as Cliff said, we ask you to come to our website at northofcenter.com, and our list of our collection keeps growing. Free resources that we want to put in your hands, including the recordings of these videos, as well as a place to sign up for the upcoming videos, which we're trying to keep at least 2 weeks in advance. And also, if you want to reach us, you can reach us by email at reachnoc@northofcenter.com. That's reach, NOC, @northofcenter.com.
So from our family here at North of Center to yours, stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.